Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. And today is a special one here on May the 3rd. We have the introduction would be forever, but the introduction is well worth it. Today we have vocalist, author, team owner, legendary voice here in Chicago. It's Wayne Messmer is at the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. And before we get started, we're going to all rise because Mr. Messmer is going to take time now to sing the national anthem.
Let's do it. Are we going to jump out of view here?
No, we're short,
Okay.
I think, here, Wayne.
All right. I just didn't want our good looks to go to waste.
All right.
If any of you guys feel like singing along, stifle yourself. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Did you hear it?
It's like I was at a game.
Wow. You talk about goosebumps. I haven't had that since you did it in the old Chicago Stadium. I'll tell you, that was something else today. And when I go out to the Allstate. Good afternoon again and welcome. A beautiful rendition this afternoon here at the Chicago 16-inch Softball Game. And again, today our guest, Wayne Messmer. Wayne, thank you very much for coming in. And
Done?
no, we're
We've only just begun.
begun. Yes.
Well,
thoughts being here today? I know we talked over the phone after our first interview, and it was an honor to hear you come.
Thank you. I'm impressed by what I see, and hearing the story makes it even more impressive. You know, to those of us who grew up in Chicago, and I was a Southwest Sider, and I very affectionately say in a D's, Do's, and Dem neighborhood, you know, and Brighton Park, and softball was part of my childhood. Well, my brother, Buddy, and I always played
softball,
and then my cousins and buddies, and so we played every day. And when I had an opportunity to get involved on the umpiring side, I jumped at it at Kelly Park on the south side, Archer in California, and loved it.
What years were those? Before I ask you, I want to go back a little bit, but what years were those at Kelly Park? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do. And I can tell you, 70, probably, I'd put it about 71, 2, 3, and 4 in that range. Wow, early 70s. So, I mean, for me, immediately, obviously, I think of the Bobcats. I think of the Sobies. Those were the monster teams. There were many others. But I was a guy who studied the rule book.
Okay.
You know, and I dare say there was nobody on the field that knew it better than me. And I think that was important because if you'd have some guys want to give you a beef, it's always nice to be able to quote something verbatim.
Page 56,
I
rule
was-
3.
I
Yes.
was that psycho.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know,
Wow.
we're not going to have an argument because I'm very specific, and I don't want to make a fool out of you, you might say,
Right.
on the field, but I can pull the rule book out of my back pocket and show you, and then I'm throwing your ass out of the
You're in
game.
game. Wow.
Yeah, so-
And you were prepared. You were prepared.
Totally.
This was not a thing that you just came here, did the 7 innings and left. You
Oh, no.
were
Oh,
you were prepared. Were you approached? Well, who approaches you back in those early 70s?
The Umpire Protective Association. Remember that little group?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And I would get a call, and there was the guy who would do the assignment. I didn't like working with him. He wasn't that good an umpire. But one of my guys, don't get me started. One guy that I loved was an umpire, veteran umpire, Art Jagielski was his name.
Okay.
And I went to school with his son Tom at Five Holy Martyrs and at Kelly High School. But Art was solid. He was on it, and he many of the games, most of the games you worked alone. But when you had two guys, like in the major league, in the money league, you had two guys on those games, and he said, hustle, be on the play, don't call a play at second base from behind the plate, just don't do it.
Get out there, get out to the mound, make the
Yeah.
do what you have to do, right?
And be sure about your calls. And don't no, you're out or you're safe. It's fair, it's foul, it's a strike, or it's a ball. Period.
Do you remember that first year or that first game or something that sticks out in your mind where someone, let's say you knew about the rule book, but someone was going to come out, or a player who had been maybe playing 12, 14 years now was going to get in your face? Do you remember that? The intimidating moment where you were going to intimidate now the intimidator?
Well, yes. And I'm glad you finished that, because I wasn't easily intimidated, and not because I was always right, but that's beside the point. But
I'll talk to Kathleen later.
Yeah. She didn't know me in those days, but I still have the cap and my little ball strike indicator and my little brush that I keep in my office.
Wow.
That sits right there. Hey, let's go. Keep a clean home. There were guys who were naturally mouthy, and you knew it coming in.
Sure.
I'd be warned. This guy, he gripes about every pitch. Okay. And I might just say, I'm going to be calling as best as I see him tonight. So do me a favor. As Archie Bunker might say, shut up, you.
Yeah.
We'll get along fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on. You're here to play. I'm here to officiate. Let's both do our jobs.
I would have to think, and just dealing with the Hall of Fame here and all these gentlemen that have played at that level in Hall of Fame, that was the era. That's the beginning of that. That's that great era of softball, where, not taking anything away from the game today, but boy, you really had to be on that game. You really had to be on it during that era.
Those were raw meat eating savages with bats, man. I loved it. That was a chest thumping group, and I loved being around it. I love being the adult in the room. It's like, man, I know you got a tough day as a punch press operator during the day, and your boss is all over you. But when you come out here, it's a different story.
Different story.
Now you're in my house, and I don't know where I wasn't trying to be cocky. It was like, I think everyone, even naughty kids who have grown up, I'm not saying you specifically, but although I'm sure you've got a couple check marks on your diploma, on your permanent record, but everyone, I think, behaves better when they are presented with the rules.
Yes.
You know, I mean, these are the rules of engagement, and I had to toss a few guys. I threw Royko out of the park one time.
Oh, wow. The legendary columnist.
Yeah,
Right, Michael, sure.
he's just jawing from the sidelines. And finally, it's like, I remember it like verbatim. He said, "You are doing absolutely nothing to impact this game, except mouthing off. And I've had enough." Just like that. It's like, whoa. And he stops. "Who's this punk?" You know?
Right.
Well, the guy's telling you to leave. So,
and it's not like he was using the language when he would write that column. Not very articulate that day.
No, this was pretty much like a longshoreman would speak after a good night of drinking.
That goes on a lot from the stories from these gentlemen out here. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Did you, before the umping, did you ever play at some level of the league? You know, where
No.
never picked up the bat and the ball. And
we played all the time, just pickup games.
Pickup games, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never played an organized little league. We didn't have it in the neighborhood. There was a kind of a strange little field about 3600 south or somewhere with it, but it was supposed to be. Was it?
Point Park, right off the Damon and Archer.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
That was like ground glass in the field.
Oh,
Just
geez.
make sure, put the railroad tracks in right.
Yeah.
Short right field, long
Yeah.
center, short left.
Because I remember we played all the time. You know, traveling team means we picked our crap up and traveled to Kelly Park and played over there. That's our travel. And we played other teams. Zephyrs was a hardball team that we played a lot. And but we took a walk one day over to this field, and I was supposed to be jealous, I suppose, of, boy, these are where the well-to-do kids or whomever gets to play Little League. And, you know, we're playing pickup, and I'm looking at this field going, this does nothing for me.
Terrible field.
Except maybe like leave you with a slide burn for like the entire summer. So I felt.
But this was the sandlot, basically. This was the sandlot for this game.
It was a dump.
Was it?
Yeah.
Sandlot was immaculate compared to.
Yeah. Oh man.
There was probably a sign, beware, play with caution. Yeah.
Play at your own risk.
Play at your own risk. Wow.
Not inviting in the least.
Did you do tournaments beside, or were you just?
I played it.
You did a lot of the.
Yeah.
You remember some of the tournaments, Wayne? I mean, I know we're going back.
Well, I mean, certainly the playoffs for the league.
Yes.
You know, that's about as tough as you're going to get. Those are brutal. I love those, man. Yeah. Good crowds. You know, Jack Ratkovic was the guy.
Wow.
Yeah, loved him, man. He's the guy who hired me as a what do they call it, a recreational assistant or some politically appointed gig, you know, for the day camp right after I graduated from Kelly. So I was there all day, and then when you're done working, I would just go sit down in the stands and watch the ball games, you know. And then I don't know how, but I think I asked, it was Art Jagelski. I said, how do you get to ump a game? I want to do that. He said, well, I'll put you in touch with the guy. And so he did, and you know, that's where we went from there. But I also worked at Harrison Park too. Some games over there.
They just had their 50th anniversary, like last year, I think, softball over there.
Yeah.
They just had a big ceremony. In fact, Paul, didn't they get in to the Hall of Fame? Lifetime achievement.
Nice. There must have been some other places that have gone, you know, that were only a few times, but it was 90% at Kelly. And that was good.
You remember some
How
of the,
about the gamblers that were in the stands?
Oh, man. Why they didn't actually, get rid of the facade and just put up a parimutuel window. Like build a little shack, and then you can have like ring girls going around, and we need to flip back time, man. We'd make a fortune on that.
Yeah, for sure.
How we think of it. Yeah.
Players from that era still stick out in your mind as that ump when you have to be the judge and the jury, of course. You're the judge, you're the jury, but you walk away from that dime and you say, wow, so-and-so is what a ball player,
Yeah. I mean,
you remember, I know you were looking at the pictures with our president, Paul Rowan, today.
Yeah.
Some were.
I'm sure that some of those mugs are Eddie Zolna.
Okay.
I mean, obviously. Ron Okasik. He could
Wow.
hit a ball. This thing, it's like I don't think I don't even know if I ever even called a pitch on him. I mean,
it didn't matter where it was. He was gonna jack it.
The pitcher goes,
Here, take it.
Where do you want to drill that thing, man? He was a monster. The pitcher, Champ.
And he's center field. But for Soviets.
Okay, but there was another guy too. There was another Champ. Now I know that Champ.
Yeah.
Johnny Baracus pitched for the show. Johnny Baracus.
Okay, now they were like a side team. He was like a hippie type character, irritating as all get out.
Wasn't me. Wasn't me. I had long hair there, but it wasn't me.
I'm looking at you. I'm trying to. No. Let's see who else would have been. Name wise, I don't know. It's like
You brought up some good ones.
Yeah, those are some good ones. But most of their names are "How you doing?"
Yeah, exactly.
What's up?
Yeah,
Let's go. Get in the box.
yeah, right.
I loved running the show, like setting the table for guys who were serious about doing it. It wasn't trying to be interrupting the game.
Sure.
It was making sure that the table was set properly. You know what I mean? Like move the game along at the right speed. Don't showboat. Like I said, there's only 6 calls to be made, and make them.
Right.
And be invisible if you can.
As much as possible. You had never been to the hall before this? Never. And I know you took a short tour here before with Paul. Your thoughts and just looking back, because boy, you brought back some memories that these gentlemen I think were surprised at too. Just looking at these jerseys and the articles and the pictures.
I don't know if everyone understands the significance of what we got here. Actually, what we have there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure this. Yeah. And it's funny still to pick one of these up and not dislocate your finger by just holding it. I am working with a bad thumb right now.
Picture stuff like these.
Yeah. I know, man. But it if you haven't held one in a long while, it's much lighter than you recall. Do you find that true? A brand new ball before it's waterlogged and yeah.
I liked it by the 4th inning when it was a little bit softer, of course, and those first innings were really bad, like you said, to play third base when we were off camera.
Or
here's
first.
The ball that Mick's bringing in. That's signed. Let's take a look at this one. This one's signed.
There's a ball from the 1960s. There's a bunch of Bobcats on it.
Okay, this was the ball from the Bobcats.
Yeah.
And that's Franklin.
They were St. Albert the Great, but they were on St. Albert.
Wow.
This is making a big assumption. These guys can write their names.
Oh, this one still seems like it's the first inning. Yeah.
That's it for a game.
Wow.
There's Eddie right there.
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, Eddie Zolna on that ball. Yes.
That was played at
Franklin Teen on that ball.
And Damon back in the yards back in the day. The old free fair.
Oh,
wow.
That's where the games were played at.
First place I ever had a corn dog.
Free fair.
the free fair.
Was it after the game or
It
before?
was only free to walk in. I mean, that's all I can tell you. There was nothing free over there.
That was a good spot to try.
It was quite a surprise when I interviewed you the first time to find out about that. The love that you had in the past, you had the
But still do, yeah.
Do you get out to anything when you do have time? Because I don't know where you would find the time, but do you check in on it or something?
I do, and it's, I love the game of baseball in any shape. It's not that different. It's just a different ball and fingers like that. I went to Illinois Wesleyan as an undergrad, and it's a fabulous baseball program there and softball program. And I have become such a huge fan of women's softball.
Okay.
Love it. I mean, it's fast pitch. They have a team that just won their conference. They are hosting the Division III National Championship. And so I weaseled my way as an alum to go down there and open the national championships with the anthem.
With the anthem.
Yeah, and that'll be fun. So I do follow that. I've been known to be driving along Willow Road or Lake Avenue way up north and see a game of kids just in uniform and just pull over and go sit in the stands and watch it. Just, once the game is played beyond T-ball, I mean, that's entertaining for a little while, but generally only if you're a grandparent. But I don't know, I was somehow just fell in love with the game as a kid, as a fan of the Milwaukee Braves.
Oh, wow.
As a little guy. And so that got me into the love of the game and then its variations, which includes, 16-inch.
You get out to the Rosemont where they have the softball there, I think now
They do.
Yeah, in Rosemont.
They do. And up in Mount Prospect as well. Is that still alive and well?
Just on Wednesday.
Just Wednesday nights.
That's
I
it.
know.
Yeah,
No lights.
There's no lights.
The light
Wow.
bulbs, kind of.
And you couldn't wait to see that when you were going on 90 at night to watch
No big purpose, no national.
I think Billy Finnegan hit my car once on 90 with a home run. Just
They have a league.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fields are still as good as ever.
yeah. Wow.
This field that you have here is wonderful. I parked and got out and just walked over to I don't know, just smell the grass. I mean,
It's all brand new. They just renovated.
it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Golf grounds and everything.
Yeah, there's something very special about standing on a ball field. Now at Kelly, it was an all dirt field.
Yes, it was.
So they never had grass on the infield, and there were some interesting potholes and things growing out of the outfield.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's basically playing softball and dodgeball at the same time. Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Typical Park District field, don't change.
Yeah, I know. And that would flood, man, on a rainy
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I remember thinking about what could we do? And I saw one of those road crews when they're putting in a new highway, and they've got this truck. The guy goes, and the entire bottom is shooting flame. Is we got to get one of these. I gotta have one of these. Of course, you got ruts that deep.
Yeah.
Let it be dry, Oh God.
So-
I remember that. Yes.
I know this is great to bring up these memories and everything, but just to inform the audience, because you're still very active, very, very active. What is going on with you these days in this crazy world that I'm glad we had to make this appointment with you 3 months ago because
Yeah.
you've been doing a lot since our last interview. I mean, since
It's pretty much insane. And why do I do as much as I do? And I think that any guy who's watching or anyone here will understand when I say I am doing 226 events last year alone, and it will be more when this year's over, simply because I can. Because I can. Because I'm able to. You know, I don't know how many of you know my story, but in 1994, things almost came to an abrupt end. You know, I mean, shot point blank in the neck with a 9mm usually doesn't work out too well. But I lived through it. I'm able to speak, which is unbelievable, and still able to sing, which is nothing short of miraculous. I mean, really nothing short of miraculous. So when people say, you know, can you speak about this, or can we have a conversation? In other words, will you allow us to utilize your voice? My answer is yes. When can we do it? Yes. You know, because I think when you're given a gift, which I thank God I have been given, the ability to speak and sing and those things, you have to take inventory of just how special it is and realize that it's kind of temporary and on loan, you know, and as easily as I think gifts are given, they can be taken away. So my mission nowadays, I do a lot of speaking, corporate speaking, motivational stuff, and, you know, tell people to, you know, it's okay that sometimes, like the cartoon where you're walking along and you step on the rake, you know, and it comes up and whacks you in the head. Guess what? People get so stuck on the why is this happening? Ask why not? Why not? Why not? You know what? Nobody's exempt. So I ask, why did I get better? You know what? I got better and lived through that and recovered and without being corny. So that
Wait, how
how
long did it take to come back?
Hang on.
Okay.
I said, but I mean, the reason that I recovered is simply being able to sit here today with you and have a conversation just about a fun moment, a fun period of my life that has a commonality with all of you. You know, I mean, the love of the game from Chicago. So it took me, I came back 6 months and 5 days after being shot. I was told to be 1.5 years. But you know, nobody knew. The doctors didn't know. My wife knew, and I knew what was here. And so strolled out on the ice at the first ever home game of Chicago Wolves, and my fingerprints are on everything in the building then and now, 31 years later.
Well,
you know, I mean, I drew up the business plan, the marketing plan, the media plan, the game presentation plan, the organizational structure, job descriptions for everybody. You know, from a business meeting, kind of looking at you know, what's the feasibility study?
Sure.
Do you think this might work? And then suddenly the other three guys looked at me, and you know, and I was there kind of just as an opinion, but I was the only one taking notes. Next thing I knew, I was going to work. You know, and I'm so proud of that. That's like my child, the Chicago Wolves, and we've won 5 championships.
and that was from 94, 95.
94, yeah.
Yeah, 94.
Yeah. So I came back October 14th of 94 and walked out on the ice and sang the anthem and have not stopped since.
I don't remember the first game. I do remember at that time Ubriaco and Gordy Roberts and Al Secord were there.
Right.
But I don't remember, did you come out alone that night or did you come out with Kathleen?
I brought Kathleen with, and I grabbed her hand as we walked out on the red carpet. And the announcement was pretty cool. I mean, I wrote the introduction for the
Just in case.
I'm telling you, for years I introduced myself too. Because when I was the stadium announcer for the White Sox and the Cubs for many years, and I, you know, say, now, ladies and gentlemen, we go please rise, kindly remove your caps, and join along with me, public address announcer Wayne Messmer, in the singing of our national anthem. Why would I do that? Otherwise, you know, you got some other guy. Well, I'll announce you from up here. Thanks for nothing. You know, this was the
Yes, I got it in my notes on that. That's one. Okay, that's one. I want to mention if anybody remembers, Wayne was in the movie The Babe with John Goodman.
Yes,
And
I was.
and it was the
Yankees radio announcer.
you were the Yankee radio announcer,
Yeah.
and I felt you did it better than Mel Allen.
Oh, I was introduced by Mel Allen. Not then. He wrote his own introduction.
Yeah, but no, Wayne, you did a great job. Matter of fact, I watched it the first time I interviewed you again that night.
Right. Yeah. It's the Bambino, the Sultan of Swat, the Wazir of Whim, of Wham.
That was
the great Bambino. Yeah, that was fun. That was an audition that I just made up.
yes.
You know,
Wow,
I
it
was went onto a hotel. We went my five top moments. I'll give it to you.
You got it.
But into an empty ballroom, and there's the director, Arthur Hiller, Academy Award director from Love Story, and a couple other knuckleheads, and they were sitting there, and it was, you know, I said, I'm here to audition. There must be. It's a baseball movie, right? Yeah, about Babe Ruth. There's got to be something in there, like even if it's a voiceover, you know, down batting, Babe Ruth, and I can do voices and stuff. So they said, well, we don't know. We don't have the script completely done, and what are you thinking? I'm thinking just hire me and pay me something, then I'll do whatever you want. You know, but you want me to start writing the script? We're talking a different deal altogether.
Yeah.
Arthur.
Yeah.
I don't care if you got an Academy Award. But anyway, I wanted the gig, so because I thought it'd be fun, and it turned out to be wonderful fun. So I thought, they said, just do something, give us an idea of what. Okay. So I'm not going to be such a knuckle. I'm an idiot that I'm going to like do batting orders or something like that. So I burst into a grand description, which I won't launch into, but it was good, of the Babe Ruth called shot.
Oh wow.
And I mean, I'm giving it to Vince Scully, you know, the weather condition and everything else, and
Like the old gray lady at Wrigley. Yeah.
oh, it was strong. You know, there's a fellow on the third base side, and he's really gonna, you know, I'm just going at him, you know. Charlie Root looks in. Oh, Ruth steps out of the, and I go on and on and on until, you know, finally, oh, he hits it. And I've got the ball and it's sailing, it's going. I just stopped. They go, what? I said, all right. So they said, I don't care. We'll write something. They said, we'll write something. Okay, but you're in. Well, good.
Wow.
So, and then they wrote a pretty cool little thing. But then, and everything that I did was left in the film. So all of the shots that we did are in the movie. That's kind of fun.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Little Johnny Sylvester at the hospital.
Yeah.
But Bob, allegedly, the Bambino promised a couple home runs. He's on the radio. You know,
With the crackling of the
yeah,
AM.
crackling.
Yeah.
And then, here's my voice. Babe Ruth, he's already hit one, but he promised two. And I did that two, like in honor of Jack Brickhouse.
Yes, yes, yes.
Brickhouse would go, and the final again, Cincinnati 4, the Cubs 2.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Ram it right in there, Jack. Let us remind us. Yeah. Oh, geez.
So baseball's in my blood. You know,
For sure.
I just love it. But my team was the Braves, Milwaukee Braves. I got a chance to go into County Stadium and meet Hank Aaron and
Adcock and all those guys.
Adcock and my all-time favorite Eddie Matthews, number 41, and Del Crandall and Red Shandings and
Torrey, I think,
Frank,
was on those early teams.
yes,
Frank
right.
Torrey.
Frank
Torrey.
and Joe,
Joe,
made his
yeah.
debut at a ball game that I was at as a tyke as he came in, and I'll never forget it. Coming in to catch was the PA sound at the time, County Stadium. Coming in to catch for Crandall, Joe Torrey. Well, Major League debut.
Really?
Yeah. Now he's 100 years old, which gives you an idea of my age.
He was a rookie in 57.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, what about the catcher?
Yeah,
You never saw him play.
But
I got-
you did a lot of other people.
Yeah, here's a funny euchre story, and God bless him, I loved him. He'd sit at the he would sit at the press luncheon lunchroom at Wrigley, and he'd be by himself. He'd have the wraparound shades on, and he have to face like the guy who's going to kill your dog if you walk on his lawn. You know, you sit there. So I'm up there, and we would always talk, and I come walking by, and I said, "You, what's the matter?" He said, "Your fan club isn't here yet." You know, he goes, "I don't like these people." He said he was miserable that day, and he said, "Mess is there. Mess, you can sit down. You're all right." "Well, thanks." So we sit down and we're chatting and stuff. Finally, he asked me, and I told you the story, unfortunate story about the shooting. He says, "Mess, why don't you come up and sing for us once in a while?" I said, "I'm not sure it would work that well. I'd be the Cubs guy coming up to, sing at a Brewers game." And he said, "Well, some of these people we get are poor. They ought to be shot." "Oh, I'm sorry." Oh, God. It's perfect.
Unbelievable.
Euchre, he was something, man.
All right, so we got 3 moments, I think, left now. Are we counting the
No, well, the three.
we're not counting the baby movie as 4. No,
Nah,
one
that was a good one, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that great.
But
The greatest probably is you're vying. It's certainly the comeback of October 14th, 94, 6 months and 5 days after being popped with a 9mm in the neck. Pretty unpredictable that would happen. Singing at Cooperstown, being introduced by the great Mal Allen, and to sing, it was like 95 degrees, and I'm wearing a sport jacket and everything else. I walk off, I'm drenched, and my wife Kathleen goes, "What's the matter?" And I just burst into tears. I'm thinking, Mel Allen,
Wow.
This Week in Baseball. Yeah, he
voice of the Yankees.
oh man, forever. So that was a great moment. There's no doubt that the NHL All-Star game at Chicago Stadium that's the most I guess the most public of my favorite events. You go on YouTube and you go 1991 All-Star game, day and a half after the Gulf War had begun, sang the U.S. the national anthems.
I think you're saying the Canadian that night.
The Canadian and the U.S. Yeah, and again, after I finished, I was just like a puddle of, because I knew it was the unique moment where when you are God gifted to do something and requested by man to do it, and they meet at the same intersection. It doesn't happen often. That was a moment. I knew what it meant. That evening, I came home and I'm watching the news. Every local and national newscast opened and closed with me, some guy from the South Side singing the national anthem. And I'm standing in my kitchen, in my boxers and stuff, like we do. I've got the remote in hand. Nobody ever can have it but me. And I'm changing the channels, going, oh, that was a pretty cool day. Game 5 of the 2016 World Series.
Oh, yes.
Is a pretty nice moment. When I was in my darkest moment of my life at Northwestern after being transferred from Cook County after the shooting. This was April 14th. I remember very specifically. It was the very last regular season home game at Chicago Stadium that night that I was hoping and looking forward to do. Well, I got a tracheotomy tube. I got IVs everywhere. And I'm heading down where they're going to jam me and I'm already claustrophobic, and they're going to, give me a CAT scan. It's like, I can't, I don't know if I can do this. And I was going to almost implode. And it's funny because I thought, what can I do as a life preserver to keep me from losing my mind? One was I was not going to let anybody steal the opportunity for me to sing again with my wife. That's how we met. We met in a production of Kiss Me Kate, and did many plays together. You know, so she's a wonderful singer. We do many ball games out at Wrigley as duets. So that was one. Two was I wanted the Chicago Wolves, which had not played a game yet. I wanted them to be a success. All right. So those are two very critical check marks that I'm going to hang on to my sanity to see if that happens. Three, I wanted to do an album of music of songs that I love. If the voice came back, I wanted to do something of the songs that really meant something to me. And four, so this is 1994, so you can tell at the moment I was pretty morphined up because I'm thinking my fourth checkbox was if the Cubs make it to the World Series, 1994, not a chance. So we struggled for a long time for that to finally happen. I would love to sing a game. Now, October 30th of 94, and I tell you this because that day is number one of my milestones. We started by singing, Kathleen and I, at a friend's birthday party at 11 a.m. Luncheon, beautiful. We're singing the, you know, Song Enchanted Evening. I mean, yummy musical stuff, you know. So, and I'm thinking back, man, that was critical to me. Two, we went off then to a 4 o'clock game at the Allstate Arena
For the Wolves.
a Wolves game, and there was over 16,000 people there. And I walked out and I'm thinking, man, this dream came true. I wanted them to be a success even before they played a game. And I'm looking around and wow, success. And I started thinking that's two of the check marks that I really were important to me. We then left and got into the car because we had another event to do. It's all the same day. And then
It was a Sunday, correct?
it was a Sunday. And then off we're driving, and I hit play on a CD that we still had a CD player in the car. And a song I played was called You Are Too Beautiful. It's as romantic as it gets. Rogers and Hearts. You are too beautiful, my dear, to be true, and I am a fool for beauty. It goes on. And I told Kathleen, I said, when I recorded this, it's a really nice album with a wonderful pianist, Judy Roberts. And I said, when I sang this in the studio, we had one of those old-fashioned Frank Sinatra recording studio microphones. I said, I was singing this just to you. Now, that's a good line, let me tell you. So, and I thought, wow, that's kind of cool. And then we're heading to 8 o'clock ball game, game 5 of the 2016 World Series. Some people would take 2 days off in preparation. I had 3 events beforehand, you know, on the same day. So finally, when I went out there to sing, I'm introduced and I walk past home plate and see the World Series emblazoned logo. Well, this is not a Tuesday afternoon against the Phillies, you know. I'm thinking of the 1,000+ times that I've sung there alone, and well over 5,000 all combined. So this one's going to be different.
There were going to be no Lee Ely or Rance.
None.
No.
The world, you know, as was the NHL All-Star Game, the world was watching, you know. And I sang, and as I left the field, I thought, wait a minute. 22 years ago, on the darkest moment of my life, I picked 4 things that were the most important to me. And on that day, boom, 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 bam, they all happened.
They all happened.
You know,
Incredible, incredible.
Yeah, that's why I tell people never let your pilot light go out.
Exactly.
You know.
Before I let you go, I have something to say about you, and I want to thank the board. I want to thank Paul Rowan for always setting the time aside here every Saturday afternoon between 1:30 and 2 o'clock for interviews such as these Hall of Famers, legends, and of course another legend sitting here to the right of me today, Wayne Messmer, to have come to the Hall of Fame. This was truly an honor today, Wayne. Wayne, this is how I'm going to leave you.
Get out.
I will. Yeah. I want to thank the doctors. I want to thank your perseverance in life and how you looked at things. And I remember from that first email when we did my interview on my other program that I have a conversation with John Conenna. When you said yes, I thought I needed to get the Harry Carey glasses to look at it again. But I want to thank God for you, for what you've done and what you do here. The legendary voice here in Chicago. I truly thank you for today. Again, this has been fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for the live audience of our Hall of Famers today. Frank Lentine, Tom Lentine, Mick Balestri, our president Paul Rowan, Sugar Bear, who was here for the whole episode also. We will see you next week here with another great guest, such as Wayne, next Saturday, 2 o'clock, Forest Park. Be there.